Okay. Well, Latricia, hi. Good to see you again.
Hey, hi, good to see you too, Jay. Welcome back.
Well, thank you very much. It's always fun to be at Cafe C with all the crazy stars, right?
Exactly. And the stars are being pretty crazy, especially this week.
Oh, yeah. It looks like we're on a roller coaster again.
Always a glorious emotional roller coaster here in the United States. So, hope
Hmm.
everybody is doing well today. So, don't forget to like and subscribe, right? Did not describe, subscribe to our Astromegistus channel so you can hang out with Jay and I and also our other lovely co hosts of our other podcasts that are happening every day throughout the week, or at least the business week. So, think Monday through Friday and check us out. Comment, give us any questions. We'll be here to answer them as we track the stars.
That was a very good jingle. And add me a little dingle to the jingle here.
Uh
Yeah.
oh.
Unfortunately, at the moment, we don't have five talk shows. We only
No.
No, I know we're down to three, but
Oh.
one of the two missing is gonna come roaring back into life probably sometime with a special in December, and then on a regular basis in January. As we just talked about it, roller coaster is hitting everywhere. It's a theme park, isn't it? And
Yeah, man.
the theme park doesn't just have carousels; we also have haunted mansions. So some of us are in that part right now. So and haunted we are. So, but long story short, yes, it's a little bit unpredictable right now, and therefore we do strive to have five shows per week. But let's see what happens for the coming weeks. But and also, by the way, for the holiday season, I just wanted to point it out. Between Christmas and the 12th of January, we will be on a little break. Everybody deserves one, and
Holiday
so
hiatus.
exactly the holiday hiatus, the HH.
Mm-hmm.
And so everybody's running for the Hollywood Hills. We're running for the holiday hiatus.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yes, we will be then, of course, back in January. But that's still a little bit ways away. We have a few more shows to come until mid-December. And today, what is it that we're talking about, Patricia?
Oh man, so we got two things coming up. We got Mercury, which is going direct in a couple of days, and I know everybody is so excited because Mercury has been coming with the ones and the twos and the threes on us. So we have that, and then don't we also have Saturn potentially going direct very soon?
Oh
Not going to
yeah,
be
very
this
soon.
week, but it's coming up.
It's Saturn. It's the master, and in this case, it's the master of the bullseye. He hit Thanksgiving Day with his station direct. So
Ah,
he will be sitting there in the sky, not moving an inch in any direction, and that usually means we will feel him, in maybe positive, maybe in a restrictive way. It all depends on the personal situation. Saturn happens to actually also bestow good things on people if they did their job.
if you
If
did
they
the
were,
work, if
yeah,
you
if
did
you
the
did
work,
the work,
Saturn will definitely give you the reward. But that's
absolutely.
if you did the work.
If you did the work. And sometimes it just is a restrictive energy, and you wonder, okay, why are things not working the way they're supposed to be working? So
Mm-hmm.
we're, we're going to we're going to look into that a little bit more, maybe with a little bit of a tongue-in-cheek situation every now and again. And one of those tongue-in-cheeks moment might be, hey, why isn't Grandpa leaving? Now that would be your Saturn
Mm.
sitting there, not moving any direction.
Mm.
So
Mm.
of course, family event. Hopefully it's not other reasons why Grandpa isn't moving anymore. But
Yes.
let's not get too morbid on our show.
Not at least. We're only 4 minutes in.
Yeah, exactly. But yes, coming from Halloween going into Thanksgiving, well, maybe Halloween will keep. It's a day that keeps giving. So who knows?
Mm-hmm.
But I think what we said is we're going to look at the chart real quick of our meeting here today, which is the 25th of November. And Patricia, I think you prepared a little bit on that one, right?
We have so much going on because we got to talk about this. We got to talk about a little bit of backtrack to our Sibley charts because we are keeping up with, some of the events that are happening in the United States. So just kind of looking at our current chart of the country, and we have Neptune and Saturn are both back in the 12th house. They're both in retrograde. Soon Saturn's going to go direct. We still have Uranus in our second house. Jupiter is also in retrograde, sitting in our fourth house. Mercury, thankfully, is going to be ending its retrograde soon and be turning station on the 27th, correct? I believe.
Mhm.
So it'll be stationing, getting ready to go back direct.
Well, actually, the other way around. On the 27th, that is Saturn. On the 29th is Mercury.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
So if we look at people wanting to do their return trip on Sunday, hey, good choice. That's exactly when you're stationed. Maybe you'll have Mercury
I'm
sitting
glad
in
you
the
said
station with you.
that. I'm glad you said that, Jay, because I have to make my return trip back to Atlanta, so I will choose the Sunday ticket rather than the Saturday ticket. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. Yeah, because I actually was on a plane trip when Mercury was actually stationary retrograde. So, and I can
Oh,
tell you one thing: it definitely stationed over Atlanta because my plane was circling and circling and didn't know where to go.
that's right.
Yeah,
That's right, because
so
there was that whole debacle at the airport. I totally forgot about that.
absolutely, and that was the day of Mercury stationary retrograde. So this coming up now, stationary direct, one way or another. On those station moments, Mercury just doesn't move, and
Hmm.
I'm telling you, we did not move. We were circling like little vultures over, over Atlanta Airport.
But you know what, Jay? Now I'm kind of curious. How close was that Mercury to the Uranus when
Mm,
you had that situation in the Atlanta airport?
yeah, yep,
Because that could have been, that could have been reflected very quickly, especially with Uranus being unexpected things happening to your resources. You got to go back and check out what happened.
absolutely. Now, as far as today goes, maybe we have a little bit of a macabre, tinge on our little show today because Pluto is also conjunct the
The
moon.
moon. And
Yeah,
that very much is power dynamics and emotions. And
and
they're both
speaking the
in
truth.
Aquarius. Yes, you're
Yeah,
speaking the truth, trying to not be too, was it dissociative, I guess, or distant, because the
yeah,
moon is in Aquarius.
yeah. Yeah, usually, Aquarius is an energy that doesn't like too much emotional closeness.
Or emotional
But then,
displays. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, it's really not that. But with Pluto sitting there, it may not go into the emotional depth, but it might go into some other parts. Like, I mean, we have to keep in mind Pluto always likes to get to the root of things. So,
mm-hmm.
and here together with the moon, well, maybe it's the way the family unit is connecting, right? That
That's
could be one
true.
of them. Yeah,
It could, I feel like this could also be like emotional outbursts to an extent too,
could be. And it's in the 11th house. So who knows what this is all about? Could
especially
be.
with it connecting to our Uranus.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, it's connecting to the Uranus,
Ugh, so
but it's in
much.
a trine. So
So,
it's an easy
yeah,
flow. It's like sudden outbursts of whatever it might be. And thank God we don't have Mars involved in this because who knows what that would be.
very true. But the trine, because they're both Aquarius and Taurus, are fixed signs. So I think the emotion, even though it's it could be in a situation that is unexpected, I feel like that emotion is going to stick for a little bit until the moon comes out of Aquarius. Well, hopefully it won't be for too long.
Hmm. On the other hand, what we also have to pay attention to, I mean, we're taking this chart apart,
Hmm.
little rhyme intended here. And when we take a look at it, we also have actually on a positive note, kind of like a fiery situation going on here with the sun trine the ascendant in Aries, right? So this
Hmm.
is like a very pioneering, forward-looking kind of situation because Sagittarius. So Aries is a pioneering sign. It likes to like go into the unknown and establish, take risks, see what's going on. Very, in that sense, curious about its environs,
We're low key
and
to Starship Enterprise.
it kind of like that, exactly. And yes, and at the same time, we do have its ruler, Mars, in Sagittarius, and Sagittarius likes to expand and likes challenges and risk taking and all that, and the Sun being
Hmm.
part of that. So So I would say, to a degree, we probably our show here today is going into the expanse of the universe. We're daring to go where nobody has treaded before,
Hmm.
and or maybe they have, but they never returned to tell their stories, going back to the macabre.
Right.
So,
Oh,
and well, I
wait,
mean, it's a
Jay.
sextile, right?
It is,
Huh?
but wait, real quick, Jay, we got to say happy birthday to all the Sagittarians out there. We are
Oh
now officially in
yeah,
Sagittarius season.
yeah. Happy, happy,
Happy
happy.
birthday, Sagittarians.
Yes,
Hug the nearest Sagittarius if there's anyone around you. We love them.
absolutely. Yes. Outgoing party people, right?
Hmm.
Hmm.
Party people love to keep the party going. Not afraid to
Absolutely.
like switch it up here and there.
It's the hunters and the sportsmen of this planet. They definitely
Yes.
like both of it.
They are kind of from the traditional standpoint the most spiritual of the zodiac, aren't they?
Well, I mean, they're looking. I mean, the arrow
The centaur.
of the centaur is pointing at the galactic center, and the galactic
Mm-hmm.
center supposedly is the spiritual center of our galaxy. So, yeah,
Yeah.
that's what they're aiming for.
Yep. You know what you're looking for, your high spiritual center, go find a Sagittarian.
So, adding to that, we're also on the ninth house cusp, which then again is a Sagittarian cusp, of course, and that also is
Mm-hmm.
philosophy and
Mm-hmm. Higher
systems,
education.
higher education systems, religion. So, I guess we're meant to kind of like, skirt all these issues one way or another and look a little bit deeper into it. And where's our beautiful Jupiter, the ruler of Sagittarius?
In the
Of
fourth
course,
house.
in the fourth house, retrograde, and telling us in Cancer, hey, yeah, you do that, but why don't you look at the homeland? Why don't you look at the family? And what do
Mm-hmm.
we have this week? Thanksgiving, the family
Thanksgiving.
event. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see what we can go into and expand into with our beautiful Jupiter in it's exalted, meaning
Yeah.
exalted for everybody who's not familiar with the lingo. Jupiter exalted means it's in a really good place. It likes to uh, be as far as the energy goes. It's a good energy for for Jupiter to
Yep.
dwell in.
This is the next best thing in essential dignity for anybody that is
Yes.
learning astrology.
And by the way, one of the things that are often forgotten when we talk about the fourth house, or particularly of Cancer, Cancer
Hmm.
is also very shrewd as far as business goes. Has a very good
Oh,
business
really?
sense. Yes, it's
I would have
they're
thought
one
that
of the
would have
best
been for
business people.
Capricorns.
Capricorn. Well, it's the opposite of Capricorn, isn't it now?
Yeah, that's true.
So
That's very true.
same coin, different sides.
Hmm.
So I think the Cancer is shrewd in a business sense, kind of like knowing what to spend money on, and more on the family level. Like imagine family businesses, mom and pop shops, that kind of stuff. Whereas Capricorn
Mm.
probably is a little bit more on the larger, like global corporation, that kind of
Yeah, Cancer's more for
environment.
like the neighborhood.
Exactly. Yes.
That makes sense.
And when we look at that, the shrewd. So it's not just that. Also, one of the other things with Cancer, and I always think it's very cute when you're dealing with somebody who has a strong Cancer energy. They don't like you to understand or know what they really want. So they always like kind of like making sideways movements, trying to lure you into a different direction. And but they keep their little
Mm.
eyes on what they want, what they covet, right? But they don't make
Hmm.
any. If they think if somebody else knows what they want, then they're going to have competition. So they're basically like turning the light somewhere else, keeping one eye. You know how they have these like little eyes that go all over the place. So keeping
Hmm.
one eye on what they want, and like telling everybody else, "Ooh, look over there, over there." And then while
Hmm.
everybody's looking over there, they grab with their little
The little
pinchers, whatever they're
pinchers.
called. Yeah, the pinchers, they grab what they want. It's like, haha, no, I got it. Now you don't get it out of my pinchers, right?
Right.
And then they usually don't let go.
Hmm.
So that's true with anything, including love and relationship. When they have their eyes set on someone, they might not want to show that they have an interest until they really feel secure that that is reciprocal, right? And as soon as
Hmm.
that is shown, then they can go full in. So, but they don't like to lose their pinchers.
Hmm.
So I mean, this is what is so fascinating about astrology. There's so many different um, things that you can look at, and so many underlying currents and paths and ways. Obviously,
Sometimes it's too much. It's like,
sometimes it's too much,
it's too
and you know
much to
what?
look at. You just got to find one thing and focus on that.
Exactly. And but you know what the nice thing is, we are right in the Sagittarian realm right now,
Yep.
because we're expanding and we're going from one place to another. We're jumping topics, whatever comes to mind, and oh wow, with awe and wonder, and let's integrate that into our demo. I mean, in our toolbox here, and
Mm-hmm.
talk about it. So, do you see any? I don't want to say problematic, but maybe challenging energies here. I mean, I see what they call this, like, big square box.
Yeah, the grand
What's
square.
exactly what is that all about? Can you tell us a little bit about a grand square? What that
Uh,
means?
Grand squares are generally when we have uh, planets that make four squares and at least two oppositions in a
Hmm.
chart. So I do see a T square, and that T square pops up from the part of fortune up to, I want to say it's either Mars or the Sun, and they both
It's
connect to the
Mars.
south node.
Yeah, it's
And then on
Mars.
the other side, they connect to the north node.
Well, but what is South Node and North Node? I'm not so I'm not. You always keep in mind we have people possibly listening in, and they go like, well, what
Yeah.
is South Node and North Node? What does
Okay.
that
Well,
mean?
the south. So this. Well, let's get the logistics out the way first. So the
Hmm.
south node is in the sixth house of Virgo. The north node is in the 12th house of Pisces. So
Yeah.
generally, when we're talking about the nodes, these are points on the ecliptic of the moon. That is where the moon travels, makes this little transit in the universe. So you got the north node. That's one end of the transit, and the south node is the other end of the transit.
Hmm.
So in this case, what do they mean? So generally, you tend to think of the north node as where you are going in life. This is what you're working toward. The south node is where you're coming from, the things you want to leave behind. If you're into Vedic astrology, the north node is known as Rahu. The south node is known
Hmm.
as Ketu. That is the dragon's head versus the dragon's tail.
Hmm.
So, and if you're looking at it from an evolutionary or a karmic standpoint, you may think of your north node as this is what you're aspiring to life, this is where you're headed, this is where your future self is trying to go. If you're looking at it from at using the south node, you're thinking about this is your past life. These are the lessons that you had to learn. These are the things that you need to get away from if you want to proceed forward.
Hmm.
Does that make sense?
Well, so far so good, yes. But then again, I'm not a novice, so I understand it. I understand it perfectly well. The question is,
Does
is
anybody else does?
exactly, yeah. But I think you did a good job. But when we talk about this being a grand square, we also need to make sure that people understand. In traditional astrology, we would not consider this to be a grand square. The reason is that the part of fortune is not a planet;
Yeah,
it's
it's a
a
fix. It's
place.
a fixed point or a calculated
Exactly.
point.
Exactly. It's a calculated point, and therefore that would not usually count.
Hmm.
But if
But then
we
we wouldn't
take,
be counting the nodes either.
well, we probably wouldn't. Well, the notes were there. They knew about the notes, and they sometimes were integrating them, but it
Yeah.
depended on the chart reading, I think. But
Hmm.
we live in modern times, and I think it's a smart thing to actually look at all information available. And obviously, in this context, we do have the information that um, the part of fortune, which is that little circle with the cross in it in the second house, is in
Next to
Gemini.
Uranus.
Yeah, and that actually is a perfect sextile to the ascendant also.
Hmm.
Um, Now, it's the question of, like, how would you look at this Mars opposite the part of fortune? Like, difficult. I mean, and then also it's out of house. Kind of like the Mars is in the ninth house, and the part of
Hmm.
fortune is in the second house.
Hmm.
So I'm not sure how to really interpret that. What I would say, however, with Mars square the nodes is that we might be in a situation when we take this chart as a general information chart, not just about this show, but
Hmm.
uh, the world situation as it is, that we might have some form of aggression in the world, and it might be related to the homeland. Actually, when we take a look at again the dispositor, meaning the planet that is responsible for the energy of Mars, which is in
Mm-hmm.
Sagittarius, we have Jupiter in Cancer in the homeland
Yeah.
house, the fourth house. So we might deal with some form of, and it's retrograde. So there might be some form of situation going on. And of course, this, I mean, now I'm jumping again, but I need to add that we do have a grand trine also going on with this Jupiter, which
Mm-hmm.
generally
The
speaking
water
is
trine.
considered, yeah, and it's generally considered, a grand trine is generally considered being something positive. At the same time, however, we need to be aware that a grand trine also always denotes a situation where things are flowing easily and quickly and without hindrance.
But also with
So
this grand trine, like all the planets involved, or almost all the planets involved, are in retrograde.
that's true. The only one that's not is good old Venus, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she's not exactly in a strong position in the eighth house in Scorpio. So
Yeah.
so when we look at that, it seems that there's a lot of like looking going on, like looking backwards, looking at what's been going on in the last few months, because that's usually what retrograde means, that we're looking
Mm-hmm.
at the months that have been in the past and what happened then, and do we need to make corrections? Can we continue the way things are? Do we need to change something? And of course, it's everybody's best guess what that could be. But
Mm-hmm.
see, certain signals going on, and it makes you wonder if it's related to the economy, with again Venus not in the strongest position in her fall or in her detriment
Mm-hmm.
actually,
She's in fall. She's in fall, and she's in a weak house.
and she's in the weak house, and then she's responsible for the money house, right? The
Mm-hmm.
money house is
Her
the
and
second
her and
house.
Jupiter.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, this might be a situation where you go like, okay, both, it's like, and they're mutually applying actually.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so they're getting closer to each other. It seems that something, a crash, for example. I please people, I don't want to call in a crash right now, but a crash sometimes happens very suddenly, and I happen to see
Mm-hmm.
also uh, Uranus in the second house
Yeah.
and
Fun.
opposite,
Fun
yeah,
fact:
opposite
a lot
Lilith.
of the financial astrologers, if you are following financial astrologers, they are like, "It's coming. You just
Yep,
gotta start getting prepared for it."
yep.
Because there's been
And
a
with
lot of unfavorable positions from
and with
financial
this
astrology.
chart, I'm feeling almost compelled to like point it out a little bit that we do have
Mm-hmm.
Uranus here in the second house, and it just retrograded back into Taurus, which again has to do with material resources and wealth and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And again, unfortunately, it happens to also be in opposition to its dispositor, Venus, again, not in the best place, and Lilith. And Lilith is also not known for knowing any kind of taboos or stops when she's raging.
Mm-hmm.
So, this could actually signify that and again, we do have this grand trine going on. So, this could be a significator for rapid losses,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
But I think also maybe with we're seeing the potential for a rapid loss. But I think when we were talking about kind of some of the meanings for the fourth house, and some of that also being the end of the matter or the root of the matter, like how do you get out of it, or how do you
Mhm.
work with that? And I think that's kind of the beauty of this is to like because Jupiter being exalted, being in retrograde, go back and see how what happened the last time this setup happened and what did you do.
And is that a potential solution this time around, or do we have to be innovative?
Hmm.
Yep.
Exactly. And I feel like with that
And
part of fortune being in Gemini, we have to be innovative, but we also need to see what went right and what
yep,
went wrong.
exactly. I think very much that we have to be innovative. We do actually have a couple more things. So this is our talk today, right? And we are already
Hmm.
getting into the nitty gritty of stuff. One of the things before we started this show actually was looking at Uranus,
Mm.
because it just dawned on me actually in looking at things the last few days. And this again is in the spirit of coming together, Thanksgiving, a family event where people just want to be in peace, have a wonderful meal, enjoy the family environment. Unfortunately, um, this was a time, and 1941 was 84 years ago, as anybody
Dang.
knows. And just shortly
That's
after
it.
Thanksgiving, we had something happening on the 7th of December, 1941, that is
Whoa.
indelible in the US history, right? And
Yeah.
what was that?
That was the Pearl Harbor attack that
Yeah,
put the US into World War II.
exactly. It pulled the US into World War II. And you know what the freaky thing is?
Mm-hmm.
What did we find out just a little bit earlier?
Oh, that was wasn't that when Uranus went into Gemini or when Uranus went direct into Gemini?
Well, on the 7th of December 1941, Uranus was actually in 29-degree Taurus.
Oh, okay.
Now, where's our Taurus,
29-degree
our
Taurus
Uranus right
retrograde.
now?
Yeah.
Yep. So, meaning going retrograde, meaning it's coming back again one more time across this, probably in a few months.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm wondering if that 29 degree, it's what is it called? Anoretic or something like
At an
that?
anaretic
Anoretic?
degree. So
Exactly.
it's kind of a big degree because this is when the change happens. You go from one sign and the qualities of that sign. So remember Taurus being fixed earth. I
Hmm.
believe it's what moist in temperament.
Yeah. Hmm.
So now we're going from moist fixed earth, which is tends to be very fertile, into mutable air, which tends to
Yeah.
be dry. Our feelings go from feminine, internal, receiving, to masculine, external, direct. And Gemini likes to be all over the place. So,
Yeah. So, what could that be? Huh.
mm,
Well, what was actually going on with the US? I always say um, history does not repeat, but it rhymes, because in actuality, the energies are returning, but we don't have the exact same situation, but we do
yeah,
have. It's kind of like a spiral, so it's kind of like it's similar, but it's not exactly the same.
like new,
And
same stage, new script.
exactly. And so the question would be, if we go 84 years back from 1941, we land where?
Now you got me wanting to look.
1857.
1857.
1857.
Dang, I should have made this chart. We weren't even thinking about this earlier.
Yep. And when you look at the late 1850s, what was the US gearing up to?
We were getting up to like what? We were here. That's not Civil War times, was it?
Oh, yeah, you
It
were
was Civil War times?
absolutely. Well, it's not,
Oh,
I mean, the Civil War itself had not started yet,
yeah.
but this was the days, that was the years before the Civil War was gearing up.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a lot of strife going on between the northern and the southern states.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of different international powers were playing into it. Like, the French were supporting one side, the British were supporting another
On the other
side. The whole thing
side,
was,
yeah.
yeah, it was, I mean, a whole
Yeah,
big
yeah.
mess going on.
It was like the
And
setup.
yeah, those were the setup years for the Civil War. And I think the Civil War itself started in 1961.
Hmm.
Um, But what I'm
Wait, the
saying
Civil
is
War, like 1961 or
no,
1861?
1861,
Yeah.
1861. Um, but with that Civil War start, like I said, I mean, that was right. That was Fort Sumter, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Mm. Yeah, good old
Um,
South Carolina.
yep. And with that, basically, the whole mess started, and it took 4 years to figure out what's going on and who's the winning side, and
Mm-hmm.
um, was a pretty nasty one.
Yeah.
Just as much as 84 years later, the second, I mean, World War II was a very messy war as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, what I'm saying is, and the reason why I think we should pay a little bit more attention to Uranus in the US chart actually relates to the US. I don't think I have to simply chart up as this
Nah, this is
itself
our current
goes.
chart.
Right, but we do have to hold on. This is the
This is
simply
the
chart
The Sibley chart and the chart for when Mercury goes direct.
Right. So, but when we look at the Sibley chart as the internal wheel, please, Latricia, do me the favor. Where do we find Uranus?
Uranus is on the 7th house.
It's right on the cusp, isn't it?
Right on the ascendant.
Well,
Or
it's the ascendant right
descendant
now, but
of our right now, but our Uranus in the inner chart is on the 8th house. I mean, the 8th house, the 7th house,
the
next to
7th house is.
Mars, Venus,
So we have
and Jupiter.
the ascendant is 8-degree Sagittarius, and
Mhm.
the descendant, of course, is 8-degree Gemini, and that's exactly smack where Uranus is.
Mhm.
So, and what do we know about the 7th house? It's not just
Seventh
about
house
relations,
is
isn't it? It's also about what?
partnerships,
And
contracts, businesses.
and war.
Mm. Oh yeah, in open enemies.
Absolutely. It's the open enemies, it's war. So wouldn't you think that Uranus be like, and then it's sudden attacks.
Like
Uranus.
surprise.
Bing, 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 bing. Exactly. I mean,
Mhm.
we're getting closer to something here.
Mhm.
And that's why I am a little bit, I don't know. I don't want to say I'm a little bit leery or careful,
It's
but
like one of those
to
things. Like you
me,
got to start paying attention to
yeah.
the news, even though the news has been grim. You still got to start paying attention because in a few months, maybe a year, Uranus, transiting Uranus is going to be on that spot.
And what really got me earlier, it just hit me kind of like I sometimes have these like flash psychic moments, if you want, where I go
Mm-hmm.
like it just strikes me out of nowhere, and I'm like, okay, then I know I need to take a look at that, right? When it comes to my
Mm-hmm.
mind like that. And like I said, it came to my mind like, well, wait a minute, Uranus 84 years was 41 from now. Wow, that was actually Pearl Harbor times. And then I was
Mm-hmm.
curious to see, okay, where was Uranus at that moment? It was in 29-degree Taurus, where we have Uranus right now. And that kind of like makes me wonder if there's another. And then again, if you go the 84 years back, we land somewhere around the late 50s. And I
Mm-hmm.
think there were a couple of surprise attacks as well at the time, because a surprise attack, particularly on the homeland, now we talk about the homeland again,
Mm-hmm.
typically gets the masses, the people, the commoners, right? Oh, well, the
Mm-hmm.
homeland is under attack. We need to go into war. This is how you get people to actually come together and support a war.
Mm-hmm. You
So
got to find that one common enemy that everybody can
exactly.
focus on.
And you have to have this event that is so traumatic to the people that they really feel scared shitless, right?
Mm-hmm.
And again, the US is a cancer country. And
We're
as a
very
cancer,
emotional.
emotional and security, very security oriented. Cancer is
Mm-hmm.
is a sign that absolutely needs security. So
Well, it's interesting looking at the chart now. We see that Jupiter and Mercury, even though they're both retrograde, are both conjunct
mhm,
for transiting Jupiter and natal Mercury.
yep,
I find that
tightly locked
interesting.
in. Tightly locked in. And what
Hmm.
is Mercury in the country's chart? It's the media,
Yep.
right? It's
The
communication.
media, communication,
Hmm.
could also be short term education.
Could well be that.
And we've
Yes.
been having that situation. I don't know if you heard, Jay. Uh, nursing nursing is no longer a professional degree.
Oh no, I had no idea. When did that
Oh
come out?
yeah, last week. That is what our current head person in charge decided, is that nursing is no longer a professional degree.
That's kind of curious, isn't it? What is the reason
Hmm.
for that?
Uh, long story short, money. You don't get as many breaks, especially when it comes to loans for non-professional degrees, because they're not seen as necessary.
Hmm.
Which is interesting because we definitely have a shortage of people in the medical field. So
Not
this
just,
kind of makes it less, it's less, like if you think about it, it kind of makes it less desirable to even want to have a nursing degree, because a lot of people that go into
yeah.
nursing knows it tends to be a stable job. They will never not need nurses.
Well, obviously not. In particular, I might be wrong, and people don't nail me to the cross if I am, but I do smell something going on with sudden attacks or sudden things going on because, again, this Uranus in the US chart carries sudden, unpredicted, quick attacks. So I wouldn't be surprised if something is happening within the next few days or next few weeks. Uranus is going to be retrograding until, do we have any idea until when? Do you know?
Oh, and I wrote this down and I forgot what it was because I want to say it was.
Should be like maybe no, that's too long. It started retrograding in September, so usually it
I want to
retrogrades
say
about
it's going to be
5
like
months.
2026 if I remember correctly.
Well, it would be 2026, but it's roughly around 5 months, I believe. So if it was in September, so we have September, October, November, December. I would think sometime in February it will go direct again, stationary direct.
I feel like that's correct, but I'm double checking.
Yep. So, and then it would
February
probably
3rd. February 3rd. It goes direct in 27 Taurus.
Exactly. So 27 Taurus, and then it will probably take about 2 months until it hits 29 degree again. So we talk about late March, early April.
We'll see.
So yeah,
and this is why we will always have something to talk about when it comes to astrology.
Absolutely. Well, and we do happen to have also the wonderful Saturn Neptune being part of that picture because they're in sextile to Uranus, right?
Yeah.
And as far as I understand the mundane astrology, we do have 0 degree Aries as the absolute degree of anything new in the universe. So they do or did do well. They did have and will again have a connection, meaning a conjunction in 0 degree Aries. So right now they're both retrograding, but once they go direct again, they will meet again in 0 degree Aries, as far as I remember correctly, sometime next year. And that is a matter of dissolving the old, establishing the new, kind of like out of the, actually, isn't that also on the dollar bill or somewhere else in the US insignia? Out of chaos comes order or something like that?
Oh, it's not, I know it's not on the $1 bill.
It's somewhere where it says out of chaos comes order. It isn't something in the US insignia, the country's insignia. But that basically is what it is. I mean, Neptune is chaos. It's the creative chaos that has all possibilities. That's why also Piscean people can be so all over the place, because they see all options, they see all possibilities, and they are all over the place. Whereas Virgo is the exact opposite. It sees all the trees, but doesn't see the big picture, right? So it's kind of like this dichotomy between those two. And then Saturn is the structure. So, but then if Saturn becomes too dominant, then we create inertia. Then nothing moves anymore because everything becomes structured, and without options and possibilities, again, everything dies. You need to have new energies, new options, etc. So these two planets together basically are this eternal game of breaking down in like sclerotic structures, yet at the same time then giving chaos structures. So because all chaos all the time also does not work, right? So it's this eternal game between, how much chaos can we have and tolerate, and how much structure do we need before we can become sclerotic. So, and that is coming along with this Uranus here. So I'm wondering if it is seen that we go into some kind of like attack, some war, I don't know if it will be a civil war like it was in the 1860s, or if it's an outside war like it was this World War II. But it seems there's some form of strife, some form of sudden changes will come and create chaos, out of which order then will be created again. Also, very much because they will have their conjunction again at 0 degree Aries next year. So there's a lot of volatility.
Yeah, I was looking for that motto. So apparently, it is the motto of the Freemasons here.
That's what it was. And the
Yeah, and
Freemasons,
then
exactly.
yeah,
Yes,
the Latin version of it is Ordo ab Chao or
exactly.
Cow, however you
And
pronounce it.
and the Freemasons were I mean, all the founding fathers of the US were Freemasons.
Hmm.
And supposedly Washington, D.C., for example, was built according to Freemasonry, right? Right.
Oh, they had to know astrology, so you know.
Yeah. So that kind of like works hand in glove. So maybe
Hmm.
you want to give us a little, shot at what is it, the Freemasons, or what
I'm
are we
not even gonna
talking
lie to
about?
you. I have no idea what they do. I have
I mean,
absolutely no idea. I just know
supposedly they
they'll be
go
like,
back.
they're a Freemason. And it's like, okay, what does that mean? And nobody's been able to tell me exactly. That makes sense.
Mm.
So
Well,
I'm
for
like, they're kind of
one,
like their own little secret order, you know?
well,
Well,
and
not
this is where it
little,
gets
because there's a lot
interesting.
of them.
How secret are you when everything that you talk about is actually available in public books and everything?
Yeah.
How secret are you still, right? But at one point in time, they definitely were a secret order, and they go back way. I
Yeah,
think
they
they
were
go back
like,
to about the time of Jesus.
yeah, I'm about to say like they were old country
Um,
type of order.
they were like old country before old country. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely. I mean, there were some other orders that came later on that got created, like the Rosicrucians and others
Mm-hmm.
that were created in like the 1700, 17 somethings. But I think the Freemasons actually were they're very early order.
Mm.
Let me see. Actually, now I'm gonna dig into it, right?
We're all just going on
So
little side quests to find
when,
out stuff.
well, again, we're on a mission. Remember what we did
we
with
we
our
are on a
chart for
learning
today?
mission.
We
Yeah.
are on a learning mission, and we do have the sun on the ninth house cusp in
Yeah,
Sagittarius.
we're trying to find we are taking those side quests because
Yeah.
Sagittarius season.
So when were the Freemasons founded? Let's see what it says. Our smarty pants here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, of course we do have different. Well, the first one that we know of was in England in 1717,
Yeah.
but
But
there it says there were fraternities that go way further back into the Middle Ages.
mm-hmm.
So
I guess this is the first official rendition.
chapter, yeah, where
Mm-hmm.
they created the chapter and everything, that would have been the 24th of June, 1717. So also a Cancer, actually, as far as the chapter organization goes.
What is with everybody wanting to be a Cancer?
Mm. And then Freemasonry, George Washington's Mount Vernon. The earliest records of American Masonic lodges are in Philadelphia. In 1732, Boston Street John's Lodge was duly constituted by the Grand Lodge of England.
Hmm.
So, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, in the basically all the early, maybe I shouldn't say all of them, but a majority of the founding fathers of the U.S. were Freemasons.
Mm-hmm.
And that played a big role in, like I said, building, like, for example, Washington, D.C., the way
Mm-hmm.
the streets are laid out and everything else, the connection that different buildings have to each other and all that.
Yeah.
I mean, there are books about that, so this is nothing new. But when I look here, I also have a Laborers Act 1425,
Hmm.
and that says something like Masons shall not confederate themselves in chapters and assemblies.
What does
This
that
is
mean?
for that they're not supposed to become an organization like a political organization, basically.
Oh.
And the territorial extent is England, Wales, Ireland, and funny as it is, the 14th of July, 1425, yet another Cancer.
Hmm. I wonder if this is a Themamundi thing.
Well, the funny thing is we're talking about secrecy again, and I mean, Cancer likes. I mean, not
They
as
like
secret
to
as
hide in their
Scorpio.
little shells. So yeah.
Exactly. They like to hide certain things and for
Mm-hmm.
security reasons, it's a
Mm-hmm.
different kind of secrecy from Pluto or from Scorpio,
Yeah.
but they do like for security reasons, they like to have,
They like to scale it
on
back.
a needs to know basis kind of like,
Yeah.
situation. So
Yeah. That is true. Whoa. The more you learn. Because I'm like, is it a Themamundi thing? Because for those who don't know, the Themamundi is supposedly the birth chart of the universe, which starts in
yeah,
Cancer.
yeah.
And so a lot of people tend to think of like the original birth chart being with Aries in the first house. But if you're looking at it from the Themamundi, it's Cancer in the first house. And then it goes from Cancer all the way around. But there's also other reasons for that maybe we'll get to in future talks.
Well, actually, that could be something, if you want to make a note of it, that we
Mm,
could definitely discover a little bit further, the Demo
yeah.
Mundi.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, looking at this overlay again that we have here, this is for the 27th now. Excuse me, it's the
Mm-hmm.
27th. And can you tell us what is happening on the 27th? Why did we pick this overlay here?
We picked the 27th because that is the day that Mercury stations direct.
Saturn. It's Saturn.
Oh, Saturn stations direct. Sorry.
Mercury is 2 days later on Sunday.
That's right. That's right.
No,
That's right.
on Saturday. Sorry, my
Saturn
fault.
stations direct. So this is when it decides we're going to stop for a minute. We're going to pause, and then we're going to get ready to move forward again. So think of
Yeah.
it like when you're getting ready, like you're driving, you decide to park for a minute, and then you're going to move forward. You got to get that energy back going to get ready to push on and forward. You know what I mean? Or at least that's how I like to think about it.
No, absolutely valid. And what I'm saying is this is a Saturn station, right? Again,
Mm-hmm.
at the beginning of our conversation, I was talking about that, and it's kind of like, oh, I mean, I say it sort of like, again, tongue in cheek, but at the same time, I sort of mean it actually also at the same time. So with Saturn, think of the grandparents or the elderly people that come to visit, but it's stationed, so they can't leave for whatever reason. Maybe a snowstorm's
Mm-hmm.
coming. Maybe
We do have a big winter storm coming this way.
yeah. So, or maybe there's a strike or whatever else is happening. But
Mm-hmm.
the 25-degree, huh? What do we see here? What is this 25-degree Pisces?
25 degrees Pisces.
Look at the opposite.
Neptune at 22 in
Well,
the
I would
chart.
say go one step further and look where the arrow is leading you.
Oh, it's on the midheaven.
Exactly. So it's that Saturn is
Right
like
there on the
that
midheaven.
that center on the IC. Exactly.
So we got this kind of, I want to say, I'm gonna call it opposition, but kind of like this tug of war between that structure and the idea of structure versus having to analyze it and be like, is this what we're really going towards?
That, and then keep in mind this is a country chart, and the MC in the country chart is what is the country as such, as a unit striving towards, right?
Mm-hmm.
And with Saturn down there, I mean, we touched on it on our last chat before.
Mm-hmm.
The American dream. Is this actually something like the American dream is dead and arrival on this Thanksgiving?
It could be DOA. There's a lot of things that are happening right now. Like there's, planned boycotts for Black
Yeah.
Friday. There's travel issues. We got a big storm coming. There's this whole social political debacle that really has everybody questioning themselves. Like, you know,
Well,
where's
and
my
then
role in this? Like, I don't like where
yeah,
this is going. How can I make it
yeah,
stop? Blah 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 blah
yeah.
blah.
And then we talk about also the IC being the fourth house cusp, being the
Mm-hmm.
cusp of endings, right?
Yeah, endings and final solutions.
Yep. So makes one wonder, particularly with Saturn being the ruler of the second house of resources, of
Mm-hmm.
money, of the financial system.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Everything seems to be a little bit foreboding. Like I said, with this, this 29-degree Uranus playing into it. And people, please, I do have a Sun Pluto conjunction, so I tend to look into everything to the root, and sometimes maybe a little bit darker than necessary.
Mm-hmm.
But I always say, better safe than sorry. And we do have a moon conjunct Pluto today, so
Yeah.
bear with us. We
Oh,
are
I've been on
going a little
that.
bit deeper.
That's been my whole year. Is my moon is being stomped on by Pluto this entire
Ooh,
year.
fun or not so much?
I wish I could say it was fun.
No, no, no. Pluto always drags you through. It's completely merciless, and it's like, either
I am
you come
kicking down your
willingly.
sandcastle,
Exactly.
and it's
That's
up to
exactly
you
what it
whether you
is.
want to rebuild once I'm done.
Or if you want to lay below it and swallow sand, it's your
Hmm.
choice. Have
The
fun.
choice is yours, as they say.
Exactly. So pick your torture.
Pick a struggle. At this point, I think that's where we all are. Just pick a struggle and just keep it moving.
But what I find even more fascinating, and that is something that you pointed out earlier already,
Hmm.
with this, I mean, we need to say, so this 27th of November chart, which is the Thanksgiving Day, is the
Hmm.
actual moment that the ephemerides tell us when Saturn is completely stationary. That is in Washington, D.C. in this case.
Hmm.
We do have the Sibley chart in Philadelphia. Now, we all know Washington, D.C. and Philadelphia are not that far apart.
Yeah, like a
So,
couple hours apart.
yeah, a couple hours apart at the most. And as far as changes in the ascendant would go, it's maybe a few degrees, but it's not a huge distance, not a huge difference.
Hmm.
And the interesting part is that we have the ascendant of the moment that Saturn stations over Washington, D.C., is actually conjunct the ascendant and that Uranus in 8 degrees. And I wouldn't be surprised if that actually in Philadelphia would be 8-degree Gemini,
Hmm.
the ascendant, meaning exactly conjunct that Uranus. And what I pointed out earlier already, I might be completely off. And everybody, please, have your rocks ready to pilfer me. But the point is, I see this is somehow a connection to a potential war situation because Uranus on the on the seventh house cusp seems to be pulling the US into wars suddenly with some
We've just
form of
been
surprising attack.
yeah, we've just been all over the place with where we are with the Ukraine Russia situation, with the Palestine situation. Now we got
Iran,
a Venezuelan situation.
China,
Like,
Taiwan, the
yeah,
Koreas. Yeah,
there's
I
also the
mean,
things that are not being presented that if you're on the other side of the pond, on either way, that they may see that we don't see. Because I realize that too. Like whenever I go overseas, somebody from over there is talking about like, yeah, you guys are doing da da da. And I'm like, wait, what?
mm,
Because we don't see that on our end.
yeah,
Countries
there's
tend
no
to be very
reporting on
one
it.
sided on what they want you to see. So it's like, if you know anybody, if you want to get another side of the story, find somebody from outside of the US who's talking about it.
Yeah, absolutely. As a matter of fact, I can also see when we look at this chart, the moon is almost conjunct.
Hmm. The
So the
transit moon is
people,
separating.
yeah. So yeah, like I said, it's something wicked this way comes, and it's
Yeah.
obviously not the Wizard of Oz, but um,
Nor is it
yeah,
Harry Potter or Voldemort. It might be
no,
Voldemort, actually. We got our own
yeah.
personal Voldemort.
I thought it was the Golden Golem or something,
Nah.
but um, yeah. Like I said, I don't want to be too negative, and I'm sure some people will have some very positive events happening around this time. But I would say with this stationary Saturn smack on the IC, the ascendant of this moment, on the descendant of the Sibley chart, and a few other auspicious moments going on here. Like, for example, the Sun in 5-degree Sagittarius. Look where it is, right on the ascendant. Yep. So it's just kind of like, I don't know, weird how so many different points are almost exactly hit on the U.S. natal chart, and it's not easy hits, as you said earlier, with the 24-degree retrograde Cancer conjunct the Mercury. So I don't know. With keep in mind, Jupiter can be hyperbolic, right? It can make like a mountain out of a molehill.
Yeah, it can make a one tiny situation a very big situation.
Exactly, and that on the media planet, on Mercury in the 8th house, makes you wonder. Okay, what are you guys playing here? Are you going to give us some hyperbolic, maybe even fake information? Dare to say that?
Yeah.
I don't know. It plays into the hand of Saturn down there at the 25-degree Pisces, because they are in trine. So,
and also just randomly, because we do have a fair amount of squares in this chart, like an insane amount of squares. And squares usually mean challenges if you're into aspects, challenges and things that may not be as easy to work with. And depending on like whether these planets that are connected by squares are receptive or not, that can tell you whether that challenge is going to be an easy challenge, like this is something you're going to want to accomplish, or a tough challenge, whether this is something that you're going to be like kicking and screaming about trying to fix,
Yep. And I mean, amazing how time flies. It's already almost 9 o'clock.
Oh, it is. Oof.
But on a closing note now, and we didn't even look at all the charts that we have, but I think we looked at the two most important ones.
Yeah, we did.
And amazing as it is, and it's something also as a little, I don't want to say an additional, like warning point, but sometimes when energies, like the planetary energies, are exact, you go like, okay, nothing's happening. So I guess we made it through without anything. But sometimes we do live in a material world, and sometimes certain things take time before they actually travel through all the different systems. What I'm talking about is we did just recently have a Pluto return for the United States. As you see in the second house, we have Pluto natal in 29-degree Capricorn, 27-degree Capricorn. And the current Pluto situation is 1 degree Aquarius. So it's not going to retrograde back onto 27 degrees. So that's really literally, gone. However,
they're still in orb.
They're still in orb. And usually, as I said, the repercussions, the actual results from upheavals and all that take their time to move through the system. So,
and people tend to forget that Pluto is a generational planet. It's not going to hit you hard and fast like your personal planets are. This is going to take time.
And in addition, in the U.S. chart, it's the ruler. I mean, if we take modern planets in this instance, even though in mundane astrology we typically also focus more on the traditional planets, but if we take Pluto into account, and it's a modern planet and it's a modern ruler of Scorpio, then it's also, again, the 12th house. So here we talk about larger structures, the collective, and hidden things, right? So I would say the US is in a major restructuring situation. It's a cancer that feels vulnerable. And a vulnerable cancer is the most dangerous cancer because it starts striking out, even though it doesn't have to. Exactly. Because, it is, or it might be, it might, I mean, alone the feeling of vulnerability is enough.
Yeah.
Right. So the feeling of vulnerability, and there are different reasons why there might be vulnerability. I mean, China and Russia do have very modern weaponry right now, right?
Yeah, and
Yeah,
there's also been talk about, we're not going to get too far into it now, but there's certain talks about some weapons being able to travel long distances and things
absolutely.
like that. And
Yep.
this is not to scare anybody. Like, we're just
No,
talking about what we see in the chart. So, you know,
exactly. And so, trigger warning: if you don't
hmm
want to hear any more, please sign off right now. But
yes,
of course, Pluto is what?
Pluto is.
Atomic. Let's go with
Oh,
Blondie.
atomic energy. You're right. It is the ruler
Yes,
of uranium.
absolutely. So, um, what are we dealing with? We are abandoning all treaties that we had over the last 30 to 40 years where we don't have any surface level testings, right?
hmm
Nuclear tests and stuff like that.
hmm
More and more, there's talk about the potential of using strategic nuclear weapons, which supposedly are only, on a smaller level, rather than the strategic nuclear weapons that would be megatons. To me, makes no difference. It's still
It's still a bad thing.
well, extremely. I mean, it's like as soon as you start using even smaller um,
Targeted stuff.
nuclear
And
weapons it's just the radiation and everything else. The
mhm.
fallout that you get from it is
There's
still
a reason why we signed
spreading.
papers to say we weren't going to do this again. And now it looks like people are like,
Exactly.
we want to do this again. We do not want to do this again.
No,
We
no,
do
we do
not
not
want
want
to
to do
do
it.
this again.
But like I said, a cornered animal that feels threatened might have. And by the way, we are not just. We have to keep in mind Pluto is in the second house, and the
hmm
U.S. also feels cornered and threatened with its petrodollar status. With
hmm
being the leading currency in the world by BRICS, by the Chinese in
hmm
particular, establishing alternative modes of payment, which takes away a lot of the financial might that and control that the US has had over the last 60 years.
hmm
Well, 50 to 60 years,
More
depending
or
on
less.
where you're looking at it, right? But
hmm
so all of these things do come into play. And it's a cocktail that is not very healthy
hmm
for anybody. So hopefully, I mean, of course, we always hope, and we're not looking. I don't think Latricia is. I am definitely not. We're not hoping for any mayhem or super problems or whatever.
Yeah, I
But
already got my own personal chaos. I don't need national chaos.
oh yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah. I mean, who does really?
hmm
With a lot of people losing jobs, we didn't even touch into the aspect of artificial intelligence, and how that
Yeah,
is
no, let's save
replacing
that.
people and all
Let's
that.
save that for a later
Yeah,
talk because that in
yeah.
itself is a nightmare.
Exactly. Yeah, well, exactly, it is, and people really have to come to terms with it and figure
hmm
out where they fall into this. Again, we're restructuring society. This is again
hmm
this the 0 degree Aries moment, and people need to start considering where they might fall in this new economy, if we like it or if we don't. I mean, the
hmm
farmers of the 1850s were not asked if they liked the Industrial Revolution. In the
No,
end, the
it was
majority,
either
how many
get with it
farmers
or
do we
get
have today?
gone.
Yeah, 3%, 5% farmers left in the world, in the industrialized world, and that was
Yeah.
it. So again, I don't say people in industries and production, all that will go extinct, but probably similar to the agricultural worker, it will be a very small percentage in the future, and
hmm
other things always come. Okay,
Yeah.
so but we just don't know what.
Yeah.
So there's no reason to be fear mongering or anything else. We don't want to trigger anybody.
Mm-mm.
A lot of people are already working through quite a few different issues in their lives, but it is good to keep a wary eye. The energies are, I don't want to say they're necessarily negative, but the energies definitely point towards change. The
Yeah.
winds are changing.
I
And
like to think of it like this. All like tarot, all planets are neutral. We tend to give
yes,
favor to positive and negative, benefic versus malefic. But you also have to look at it. Sometimes there are going to be a lot of unfavorable planets, positions, aspects, and you have to be able to understand it without falling into fear.
exactly. Keep your wits. Keep your
hmm
wits. Yep. Fear is the worst thing you can do
Yeah,
because that
and
that gets you into a shock.
yeah, and we're in very scary times. So it's like, if it feels like it's too much, take a step back, take some breathing, go touch some grass, whatever. Uh, but don't. not look at it.
Exactly. The head in the sand, the bird ostrich, whatever it's called.
Yeah, it's ostrich.
Yeah, the ostrich principle is not helpful, you know.
Mm-mm.
So keep your eyes open. Make
Mhm.
sure you're resourceful. You know, flexibility is always good in times when existing structures start dissolving and something new seems to be coming without having any idea what that might be.
Yeah.
And therefore flexibility. Know as much as you can. Have resources available as much as you can,
Hmm.
and keep an eye out on what's going on.
Yeah.
Expect surprises. That's Uranus.
Hmm.
And hopefully it's you're going to fall on the positive side. I mean, whenever there are changes, it means some people are also coming out ahead of the game. So
Hmm.
you just never
Chaos
know.
sometimes brings us good things. You just have to be willing to see when it shows up.
And with the last words, I want to give the last words to our esteemed tarot card reader, because what I just said is basically the Wheel of Fortune, isn't it?
Hmm. The Wheel
So
of
what does it
Fortune
tell us?
is Wheel of Fortune generally tells us when things are moving, it's not what is happening to you, it's how you react to it. And sometimes, in most cases, the Wheel of Fortune also will end on something positive. So we just have to get through the change. And the change is what we tend to not like. It's not a tower moment. It's a gentle reshuffle. It's maybe a not so gentle reshuffle, but it is a reshuffling altogether. So you just have to make sure that you are willing to go with the flow and be ready for what happens on the other side.
Thank you very much. Amen. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. We're
Happy
done for today.
Thanksgiving if you celebrate. If not, we will see you next week. Take care of yourselves.
All right, everybody. Bye bye.
Bye bye.